Right, let us study. So let us see the different data structures what we are going to study throughout this course. Now briefly they are being introduced, and this each and every data structure will be studying detail in the course later. So basically why we have to go for data structure is when we have huge amount of data, it will be difficult for us to manage the data. Say for example, physical files. If you have physical files, the file which is containing record of each and every student, that means one page is containing record of one student. And if you want to search and process the physical files, it will consume more time. Instead of having physical files, if you go for maintaining logical files, if you store the data by using logical representation, then it will be easy for us to process and access the data efficiently. So that is why we go for data structures. The term itself says data structure, that is uh, storing the data in a structured manner. Storing the data in a systematic manner is called as data structure. We are trying to represent the data, we are trying to store the data in a systematic manner so that we can access and process it easily after some point of time. So that we can access and process it easily. That means you can define it like this. Data structure is an the process of representing and organizing the data in a computer system so that we can use it efficiently whenever we need it after some point of time. Whenever we need it after some point of time. So this organization can be done by using with the help of different data elements or data types what we use, or what we specifically called as data structures. So depending on the type of data structures, depending on the type of data you want to manage, and depending on size of the data we want to manage, we use different type of data structure. We use different type of data structure. So some of the examples are arrays, linked list, binary trees, stacks, etc. So all these data structures will be studying in detail later. Now let us see briefly the different characteristics of data structures. That means we know that data structures will help us in storing and organizing and processing the data. And it is basically the logical representation of the data. That means system point of view, how we are storing the data in the computer system. That is what is with the help of data structures. So when we talk about data structures, the following are some of the characteristics. So they are basically representing the logical representation. That means how the data is stored in computer memory. Data structure tells us that how we are storing the data in the memory, so that because we are storing our data in the secondary memory of the computer system, that is our hard disk. And once you store that, how we are trying to access, it is going to represent the logical relationship between the different data elements. It is representing the logical relationship. Say for example, if the student detail has something like this: USN, name, and marks. These are different data elements. This is one data element, second data element, and third data element. And obviously these three elements are related with each other. How they are related? If you give the USN, we can find name of the students and marks of the student. So whenever you are storing and processing the data, they are related with each other logically. They are related with each other logically, and it is efficient. It will help us to efficiently manipulate the data items which are stored. It is when we store it in a table form or column form or row wise, it will be easy for us to process the data. Now they are going to allow the program to process the data in an efficient manner. We can process the data in an efficient manner. How all these characters will be studied throughout the course. Now let us see different types of data structures or fundamental data structures. So all the data structures are primarily categorized into two broad classes: primitive data structures and non-primitive data structures. So primitive data structures are the one which include all our fundamental data structures or data types, such as int, char, float, boolean. Int, char, float, boolean, all are primitive data structures or fundamental data structures. Whereas non-primitive data structures, this is classification, primitive and non-primitive. They are all examples are all fundamental data structures like int, float, char, and etc. Non-primitive are derived from this. Non-primitive are derived by using these fundamental data structures. And when you talk about non-primitive, there are two categories in this one: linear data structures and non-linear data structures. In linear data structures, the data is organized in a linear fashion. That means in consecutive memory locations. The examples for these are arrays, linked list, and queues. Arrays, linked list, and queues. For example, for in case of non-linear data structure, what happens? The data is arranged in such a way that the elements need not occupy consecutive memory locations. Wherever the memory is available, the memory gets allocated. That means the representation is non-linear. The representation is non-linear. Examples for these are trees and graphs. So now in this remaining modules, we are studying in detail about array, linked list, queues, trees, and graphs. But now in the very immediate next moment, we are studying about the fundamentals of this data structure. What is an array? So array, as we know, it is a collection of elements of same data type and which are stored in consecutive memory location. And every array will have one name for that, and the index value for the array is used to identify the element. The index value is used to identify the element. And all the group of elements which are represented by using that array name, they will be of same data type. They will be of same data type. And all the individual array elements in the array are accessed by using its index value. Say for example, this is one array. And these are the memory locations which are reserved for the array elements, and these are array indexes. So as we are assuming that the array indexing will start from 0 and 1, 2, 3, 4, so on. And this is the memory address which is being allocated by the compiler. It need not be 6000. For understanding purpose, it has been taken as 6000. If it is an integer array, the first element will get an address of 6000. Next element will get an address of 6002, 6004, and so on. If you want to access the element 7, you have to access that by using name of the array of what is the index value for that. Index value is 2. This is how we access each and every element of the array. So this is the brief about the array. When we talk about linked list is another data structure. As the name itself says, the every data element is represented by a node in this one, and the data elements are linked with each other. A linked list is made up of different nodes which are connected with each other. And every node in the linked list contains at least two parts. This is data part and this is the pointer part. Data part will contain the actual data. Pointer part will point to the next node. Pointer part will always point to the next node. So this is one diagrammatic representation of the linked list. This is the starting pointer. This is first node, second node, third node, and so on. So briefly, we are studying now what actually the linked list, what actually are the different data structures. If you have stored 10 here, this node, this is called as node. Every structure is called as a node. And this is containing the data part and pointer part. Data part is 10 here, pointer part is pointing to the next node. Data part pointing to the next node. Data part pointed to the next node. As every element is containing two parts, one data, another one is link. So these links will help us to go to the next node with the help of present node. And the pointer part at the last node will be null because there is no next node. So why we use linked list on top of arrays here is, so when you say, when you declare int array of 10, what happens here is 10 different memory locations will get reserved. It will reserve what? 10 different memory locations. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 memory locations will get reserved. Now assume that you have reserved 10 memory locations and you are using only two memory locations you are using, and all these are being wasted. All these memory locations are being wasted because the arrays are static examples for static memory allocations. Once you allocate the memory for the array, it cannot be changed. It cannot be increased or decreased. But obviously we can do that by using dynamic memory allocation, which we'll study later. Now to overcome this disadvantage, we go for linked list. What we do in case of linked list is, we will first reserve memory for only one node and store the data, like how we have stored here in the array. If you want to store one more element, allocate memory for new node, store the data, then perform linking. We will not unnecessarily reserve the memory in the beginning itself. We will not reserve the memory and block the memory. We will not block the memory in case of linked list. We will allocate the memory if it is required. If this is the scenario, if you need one more node, if you want to store one more data called 30, then allocate the memory for that, store the data and perform linking. That means what we are doing in case of linked list, in case of linked list, we are allocating memory only if required. We are allocating memory only if required. Whereas in array, we do the fixed allocation. This is small example I have taken. If you assume that you are reserving 1000 locations, then obviously it will be waste of memory. Instead of that, we go for linked list. So how this happens, everything we will study later. Now for more details, we can study in chapter 5 because arrays are studied in detail in chapter 4. Linked list are studied in detail in chapter 5. Stacks in chapter 6. Every data structure has one chapter. So stack is again a linear data. Next data structure is stack. Stack is again a linear data structure that is going to contain the list of elements in such a way that the elements are inserted from one end and elements are deleted from the other end. Elements are deleted from the same end. This is called as top end. We insert the elements from one end and we delete the elements from the same end. This is called as, we are inserting elements from the same end and we are deleting the element from the same end. That means if you insert 8 first, 2 is on top of 8, 4 is on top of 2, 99 is on top of 4. You cannot delete 8. First you should delete 16 out, then 4 out, then 99, 4, 2 and 8. This is how they will come out. That's why this stack is called as last in first out data structure. Last in first out data structure. That means how do we insert elements onto the stack? We insert elements onto the stack from top end. First we insert 10, then on top of this we insert 20, then we insert 30, then we insert 40. If you want to delete out the elements, 40 will come out first. 40 will come out first. Whichever has entered last, that element will come out first. Then 30 will come out. Then 20 will come out. Then 10 will come out. That's why it is called as last in first out data structure. Last in first out data structure. We will be studying in detail about this later. Queues. Queues is another type of data structure. That is, it is also a linear data structure in which we insert elements in such a way that the elements are inserted from rear end. The elements are inserted from rear end and deleted from the front end. Inserted from rear end and deleted from the rear end. So you must have seen the queues in our normal day-to-day life. Whenever there is a queue, the new person will come and stand at the end of the queue, and whereas the person standing at the front of the queue will get the service first. So that's why it is called as first in first out, because queues will be always processed in the manner of first in first out principle. So this simple scenario of the queue data structure. So they are basically used in CPU scheduling and all, CPU scheduling, resource scheduling. We study in detail about this in chapter 7, queues. Trees. So as the tree itself says, in our day-to-day life, we have seen the tree. A tree will be having root at the bottom below the earth, then it will be having stem, branches, and leaves. Same way we have the tree data structure, but it is reverse in case of data structures. It is a non-linear data structure. They are not linearly represented, and this is used for representing hierarchical data. So in tree, there will be a node which is at the top of the tree, that is called as root node. This is a tree data structure which has a root value of A, and this is having two children. The children are B and C. Then B is again having two children, D and E. This is what is the data what we are processing. What is the data here? A, B, C, D, E is the data. And in detail, we'll study about this tree data structure in chapter 8. Graph is another data structure, which is nothing but a collection of nodes and edges. Which is nothing but the collection of nodes and edges. A node is nothing but the data which we want to represent. A node is nothing but the data which we want to represent, and edge is collection of two nodes. And in some situations, edge can also have some weight on that. So what this weight indicates? The cost of this edge. So for example, cost of traveling from city A to city B is 2 units. Cost of traveling from city C to city D is 4 units. So graphs are basically used in networking. That means they are used in networking to transfer the data from one source to the destination. This is one graph data structure. We'll study in detail in the chapter, 9th chapter we are studying. So different, I'll take for 5 more minutes so that I can complete it. Data structure operations. So when we have any of the given data structure, there are different operations what we can do with each and every data structure. What is that? The set of operations are, we can traverse the data structure. What is traversing? Accessing each and every data structure at least once is called as traversing. I'll take the example of array. Example of array, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, 7. This is some array, and these are some index locations. I'm just taking an example of array here, but it can be done for all the data structure. What is traversing? Visiting and seeing each and every content of the data is called as traversing. It is just a process of accessing every record. What is searching? Given some set of elements, we can search whether the given element is present in the data structure or not. That is called as searching. Given a specific key, we want to find some data in the given set of elements. Search can be successful or unsuccessful. Inserting, when some set of elements are there, I want to insert some new element here. That means I want to insert some new element. Between 3 and 4, I want to insert 80. Between 3 and 4, I want to insert 80. That is called as insertion operation. Deletion, I want to delete one element from the, I want to delete one element. Say I want to delete 80, whichever we inserted just now. That is called as deletion. Apart from this, we can also perform some operations called as sorting and merging. What is sorting? We know that sorting is simply a process of arranging the given elements. If some set of elements are given to us, we want to arrange them either in the increasing order or in the decreasing order. That is called as sorting. And merging is nothing but it is just process of combining the records. That means there are two different records are there, record number 1 and record number 2, which are stored in two different data structures. That means I want to combine these two. I want to combine these two data. Then it is called a merging of the data structures. So these are the very simple operations what we can do on each and every data structure. Now, whatever data structures we are going to study next in the course, array, linked list, stack, queue, and trees. So their different efficiencies, that is the efficiency of various data structures is given. This is the predefined efficiencies. That means array, if you want to insert an element, it will take at least n operations. That is, it is coming in big O notation. If you want to search for an element, it will take big O of n. That means at least n comparisons you have to do. If you want to delete, you have to do at least n comparisons. That is what is the notation. Similarly, for all other data structures, the efficiencies are given. All other data structures, the efficiencies are given. So I feel it is better to explain one. Why they have written, I should explain now. I will take it for array. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and they have no explanation is given for this. Simply they have written in the textbook, explanation is not there, but still I'll explain it. So just concentrate why it is written. Array. What operation I want to do? I want to insert. And what it says, it is taking at least n operations. You have to do at least n comparisons, n key operations you have to execute. That means what is the value of n here? N is how many, what is the size of this array? 6 is size of this array. That means if you want to insert at least n comparisons you have to do for inserting for the location. That means for 0th location 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That means if you want to insert at the last location itself, if you want to insert at the last location itself, then the value of n is 6. So it will come under big O of n. Search. Similarly, searching. If you want to search for an element, it is possible that the element which you want to search is present at the last. So it is coming in big O of n. That means at least n comparisons you have to do. First compare with the first element. That means key element, whatever you want to search, is it present here? Worst case, if it is not present here, compare with this. Again, it is not present. Comparison is failing, and again after the last comparison, it can pass or fail. That means if there are 100 elements in the array, if you want to search for an element, you have to do maximum 100 comparisons. It is possible that whatever element you are searching, it is located in the last location of the array. It is located in the last location of the array, or it may not be present only. That means you have to do 100 comparisons. Similarly, for deletion also you have to do 100 comparisons, because the element which you want to delete can be present in the very last location. That's why it is taking n comparisons. If there are 100 elements in the array, if you want to delete 100th element, we have to do 100 comparisons. That means you will simply specify key saying that 20. I want to delete 20 from the array, but we don't know where that element is present. Worst case is, the maximum possible time is, it can be located in the last location. So we have to perform 100 comparisons. So that's why all insert, search and delete are coming in big O of n. This is what I wanted to cover today.